Hello and welcome to the penultimate of our encounters on this new Walk by Design in central Edinburgh, heralding our new programme, Concrete Designs to Thrive. My name's John Ennis, curator, producer at Journeys in Design. We've been theming each of our encounters, and tonight's theme is play, looking at places and spaces for living well relating to recreation in the urban landscape. You join us tonight in a rather special little place in Edinburgh, and I'd like to have a think with you about the geography and the geology of where we are before we meet our guest this evening. We've just walked through a managed green space maintained by the City of Edinburgh Council. You're going to hear basketballs, footballs, bikes, scooters and whatever sounds all around us. As we walk down from that managed green space, we're going to see an area, a housing quarter called Dumbiedykes. So we've actually come off the Cannon Gate where we were last night, down St John Street, across Holyrood Road and up through that housing quarter called Dumbiedykes, through the managed green park to this area which is approaching St Leonard's. So I'm looking forward to showing the geology that we'll approach, the Salisbury Craggs and Arthur's Seat, these volcanic gifts to the city that loom large over Edinburgh, just the south of the city. But let's first of all think, what would Patrick Geddes have said? So you know that we've been doing a little bit of a riff on the, giving a contemporary take to the work of Sir Patrick Geddes, the late 19th century town planner, ecologist, polymath, as he's been called on our trip so far. What would he have said? Well, Dumbiedykes, interesting part of Edinburgh. The original tenements that were here built around the 1820s, 1840s, and pretty poor foundations, not well built, and they were largely occupied by the workers of the breweries, which were opposite on the hill down from the Cannon Gate. On you come. Between the wars, they were really dilapidated, and by the after the Second World War, there were stretches of tenements completely unoccupied, and so it was a city, part of the city, ripe for change. There's a famous story called the 1959 penny tenement, where an owner of one of the tenants realised it would be far too expensive to do anything about it and sold it to a local MP for a penny. Within the year, still no action on these very dilapidated tenements, and tragedy almost struck. One of the tenements, the entire gable came down on it. Residents on that November evening found themselves in bed on one floor, and down they were 2 floors later. Miraculously, 17 families managed to get out of that tenement, and no one was seriously injured. But that was a cue. Now, Patrick Geddes was fond of what he termed conservative surgery, and he preserved much of the old town as we've seen, the slums, and redeveloped them. No such thing for Dumbiedykes. The entire place was bulldozed, and people were decanted to new housing on the periphery of Edinburgh. And meanwhile, through the 1960s, Dumbiedykes was developed as a housing quarter, 2 11-storey high-rises and a series of tenements, 4 or 5-storey tenements of contemporary design. Brutalist in some people's eyes. 50 years after they went up, like many folk in their 50s, some cracks appearing, some stains appearing, and there was a cosmetic attempt to improve them, coincident with the building of the new Scottish Parliament. I was a GP for Dumbiedykes at the time, and a number of patients had more than a wry smile on their face when I would ask how the improvement's going in Dumbiedykes. However, that's unfair because there has been continued regeneration of the area, and it's now like anywhere, it has some housing problems and difficulties, but it's a much more popular area to live, not least of which because of that magical little green space, the corridors through the green and the maintenance of these wonderful trees and green banks that give the urban landscape so much richness. We'll come back to the notion of biodiversity tomorrow, and I hope you'll join us then. Meantime, we're approaching the dramatic view of the geology, which contrasts to the built environment you can see behind us. And we're coming upon some more evidence of community-based play in the urban landscape. And I'll just point out a wonderful centre here, which is the Craggs Basketball Centre, and here, Skelf, who have really from the ground up produced a fantastic bike and skate park. All comers use it, kids, adults with their children. It's a great resource. You'll hear and see some of the bikes in the background. So do check out the Cragg Community Centre for basketball. They have an outside climbing wall, and Skelf, the bike park, and consider supporting them if you will. So we're gonna catch people coming and going, but I'm delighted to introduce, in terms of recreation in the urban environment, I'm delighted to introduce my friend and former running mate, Kate Foggo of Edinburgh Frontrunners. Kate, it's great to see you. I feel the dynamic here is wrong. I'm taller than you and I don't want to be doing that, so let's do this. And look, we're looking up to the Craggs in the background. Years past, I was a regular member. I think it's fair to say lapsed would be the best term now. But listen, you have been an inspiration. I was in Frontrunners when you joined, and you joined as a walker runner at that time. And now you're secretary of the group, and I know you've done wonderful things for and with Frontrunners. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your story in Frontrunners?
So yeah, as you said, I joined them about 5.5 years ago now, and at that time I was looking for a Couch to 5K program that I could join with other people, get some running going, just build up my running basically.
Great.
And I'm hopefully meet people in the process, and that's absolutely what happened.
Fantastic. Yeah. And you mentioned the key thing for me there, and I was in a very similar boat. I was keen to get running. I didn't want to go out and tramp the streets on my own, and I knew there'd be a bit of fellowship with a running club. Now the term running club, I should say Frontrunners is a community-based running club with an LGBTQ plus basis, but it's there for all comers, and I think mixed ability would be a fair way to describe that. Would you like to say something about that?
Absolutely, I would completely agree with that. We've had a strong walking strand within the club for many years, as well as our Couch to 5K Learn to Run programme, which I have been the development lead of, and also our stronger runners as well, if you like, who are able to come to get a social run in.
I mean, this is what I remember from my Wednesday evenings starting outside the Cummy Pool at 7, my Saturday mornings down at Glenogle and Stockbridge. People who know Edinburgh will know those names. I remember Fraser, who's now joined London Frontrunners.
He has.
I mean, whips around a 10K, and the rest of us are still plodding on. Right to the person who, at a time when we're using support, walking support.
We've had one user who uses a tricycle bike.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned that the Couch to 5K, that's now been adopted by the National Health Service and is available through their portal. It wasn't at the time we were there, I don't think, and that you've moved on with them. In terms of running training, Jog Scotland would be important to mention here. Can you tell us a bit about them?
Yes, so Jog Scotland is a body affiliated with Scottish Athletics, who provide training and support for groups such as ours who are looking to develop casual running groups for people who just simply want that bit of support.
Fantastic.
To run together in a group. Absolutely.
Yeah, really good. And they have been supportive of Edinburgh Frontrunners. Hi there. Edinburgh Frontrunners and lots of other frontrunner groups in the country. And we're doing a little riff on someone called Patrick Geddes, who was a town planner in the late 19th century. He was also an internationalist, and I love that Frontrunners is an international organisation. I've had a front run in London. I know you've been front running elsewhere. Can you tell us a little bit about how the organisation established internationally?
The first Frontrunners Club was in San Francisco.
Okay.
And it was way back in the 1970s.
LGBTQ.
Yeah, it was an LGBT running club.
Central San Francisco. Yeah.
Yes, and from San Francisco, based on a novel. The title is. And then from San Francisco it went round the United States, and then from there it's gone round the world.
Further afield. Fantastic.
Absolutely. So it's a great thing for having that network and being able to, if you could go to almost any major city around the world, you'll be able to find
you can pitch up and find a front runner club. It's fantastic. Just bring your trainers. Now you've been abroad and ran internationally. Tell us a little bit about you place the dog walks.
One of the hazards of running as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they would say the same of us, but yes. So you've had a chance to run internationally.
Yes, absolutely. So I've actually been to San Francisco.
Oh, have you? All right, wonderful.
I visited them in 2018, and they were amazing. They are one of the biggest clubs I've ever seen. But as I say, massive welcome. You can turn up and then they will show you where they go afterwards. There's a big thing in Frontrunners about going out for something to eat after your run, always important.
Not just eat, as I remember. Another part of the bonhomie of the whole thing.
Indeed.
Brilliant. So what an amazing experience that must have been in San Francisco, the home city of it all, and elsewhere.
And elsewhere indeed, yes. So we actually represented the club at the World Pride in 2017, which was held in...
Where was that?
In Madrid.
In Madrid, right.
Yeah.
Ooh, hot city to run in.
It was absolutely roasting. Absolutely roasting.
Hydration
and we,
required.
of course, met with the Madrid Frontrunners, but also the Frontrunners from Newcastle joined us here as well.
The Glasgow bunch are very active as well.
The Glasgow bunch are the biggest club in Scotland.
Okay, right, great.
Yes, and they're very active in Glasgow, obviously.
Yeah.
They will have their race. They have an annual race in Glasgow at Kelvin Grove Park in August.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So look, we've got a facility in our videoing here that anyone who's watching live can send in. Okay, so you can send in questions. There is one. It's a very basic question. I want to be a front runner. What do I do?
Well, you should look us up online.
So online, front runner, Edinburgh.
Our Facebook is the easiest place to get us.
Facebook best, okay.
But absolutely, we have a website as well, which has all of our information. But
right.
As you've mentioned already, we still meet twice a week. We've just come back from lockdown. Unfortunately, we were unable to meet during
Can we pause and just talk about? I mean, during lockdown, I actually repeated the Couch to 5K, and believe me, I needed to start on couch, and I needed the couch at the end of the runs. But it was great to get back into it. And I was actually able to keep in touch with you guys using the Facebook group. And I found that was, quite supportive, even though we were online and distanced. Yeah. But you've come back from that and grouping again.
Yes, so we've resumed again. We're on at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday, just round the corner in Holyrood Park.
Okay.
And then we're on at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning in Inverleith Park, because at the moment we still can't go indoors to our leisure centres.
Of course, we're used to go to Glenogle and all the rest of the commie pool, so you just come changed and off you go.
Yes, exactly. Come ready to run.
Look, it feels like a new season upon us then. What's coming up?
So we're just getting back into the swing of things with our running. We've got capacity for everybody to come now, and we're inclusive to any speed and any distance that you wish to
Fabulous.
do. And then on Saturday we're actually got our Pride Run
this Saturday.
This Saturday 19th. Yes.
Kate, if there was a reason
from Inverleith Park to Edinburgh Castle.
Wow, what a route.
It's
Right up to
quite
the
the
castle.
challenge, quite uphill.
It's uphill, but what a beautiful route to be doing. And even if we get a bright day for it, it'll be
We
fabulous.
don't mind how long it takes you.
Great.
We reckon we're probably going to have some power walkers.
So what if I wanted to come along? Where would I pitch up?
It's
Do I
going to be
register?
at the same time as our normal run on a Saturday,
Okay.
10 a.m. at Edinburgh Park.
And I can just turn up.
Yes, but we do have a sign-up sheet.
A
so
sign-up.
You can find that out.
Great. We'll have a look up
details online.
the website.
Yeah.
Well, look, I wasn't sure I was going to say this, but I think it's too nice not to give this a go. We're going to go for a jog. But it gives me an opportunity, because we're taking these microphones with us, I have to reassure the behind the camera team that we're not going to run away with them. So tonight I'd just like to say a big, big thank you to Simon and Sylvia of Crow and Cow filmmakers. Absolutely cracking team to work with, so thank you very much, you both. And you can't see him, but also behind the camera is Abid Nazir, right-hand person at Journeys in Design, who's been taking the stills during our walk. So thank you, Abid, Simon and Sylvia. Should we do this thing?
Right, do it.
Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, we're going to be down by the Parliament and our theme is vote. Look forward to seeing you then if you're able. Good night.
All
After
right,
you.
go.
It's been a while, Kate. I'd say you get into the stride of it.